I'll show you how to create a complete backup of your Synology NAS that will help protect it against any physical disaster, file encryption attacks, total hard drive failure, or even theft. And there's a lot of ways that you can already back up your data, but with the method that I'll show you today, you can restore your entire NAS without reaching out to your IT guy because you will not have anything to reconfigure at all. That's how good it is. And as a bonus, you can use the same method to restore individual files and folders as well. My name is Bogdan Chperny, founder of Apex One IT. And as you may already know, this is all part of business continuity and disaster recovery. So especially if your NAS is one of the or your only real kind of server in your business, in your small business, even in your home business, then you definitely want to have some kind of system of backing everything up. So this is kind of a bunch of different things, but we're just focusing on one thing today, which is active backup for business. Now, you might have seen active backup for servers or computers like workstations, and that works great, but relatively new is that you can do the same thing for your primary NAS. So you can back it up to a secondary NAS using active backup for business. And there's another application, and I'll show you, that we download on the primary NAS to make this happen. And as you can see here, typically you want at least 2 ways to back up your NAS, but ideally, and what we have set up for this client, because of the way they have things running here, is there's a simple USB copy to external one. There's a hyper backup to the cloud. So that's already offsite. And we're doing an on-site active backup for business. Okay, so the entire NAS to another NAS locally in their office. They also have immutable snapshots running on the primary NAS. Okay, so you definitely want to have that set up already. And I would say, right, if you can't do these things, let's say that's just not an option for you, and this is going to be your only option, then you can actually set this up in a way where it's first locally in your office, so it takes advantage of the local area network. It doesn't have to go over the internet for a quick backup, initial backup. And then you can actually move this offsite, reconfigure some things here, and it'll continuously keep working. So the backups are incremental, and active backup for business does a great job of duplicating data. So you'll see here, there's about 5 terabytes of data, and it's going to crunch it down, and it's literally going to take up less space than it does on the production on the primary NAS. So if you want to see this happen, go ahead and like this video, subscribe, and let's go to the first step. First step is we want to go on the source NAS, so what we're calling our primary NAS 1. Go to the package center, and we want to download the active backup for business agents right here for DSM, meaning it's for this Synology NAS, right? So you install this on the NAS that you're going to backup. Let it do its thing in the background. Then, of course, you need to set up your second NAS, wherever this NAS is going to be backing up to. So I have it here as NAS 2, and it's very basic setup. You don't need to do some crazy configurations other than some typical security ones. So if you want a full install, look for a video linked somewhere on the screen here right now or in the video description. But you do obviously need an admin account. Probably want to sign in with your Synology account as well. And just one thing I did here, as you can see, the background is different, and it really just helps you when you're jumping around to know which one you're working with. So to change that, actually go to your account here, click on this personal settings, go to display preferences, and you just want to change this. Okay, so check mark to customize the background, and then image and select something different. Okay, and just click apply. So I'll just cancel for now. And then on this device, all we really need is the active backup for business application. So actually it's right here, but you could search for it as well. But active backup for business, that's what we want. So let's go ahead and install that. And then after a couple of seconds, after it says install like this, it should give you an option to open just like that. Or you could, just to be clear, you can go back here to your main menu, and you'll see it actually downloads 2 applications, right? Active backup for business, and then the portal. That's what we're going to use later. So first, let's go ahead and open active backup for business. And we do need to activate this with our Synology account. So it's going to open a pop-up and have you activate this for this Synology NAS in particular. So accept the terms, click next, and then just okay, and you're done. So here's the application, and we'll be adding our Synology NAS here. But first, and let me actually show you here, if you go to the file station here, you'll notice we don't have any other shared folders or anything like that, but you'll notice it created this one folder on our NAS called Active Backup for Business. Okay, so this is where the backups are going to be going. Now we want to go to settings and set up a template. So right when we set up our NAS for backup, it's kind of going to know what to do without us having to configure it again. So let's go settings, templates, and you'll notice there's already a template for DSM platform, which is the disk station manager, what's running on your NAS. So there's this default, but I like to create our own. So click on create. Just like to call this primary NAS full backup. And then here for user, you just want to select your admin account. You can create another admin account just for this or select your admin account. And the platform, we are going to be backing up the DSM, and you'll see the type changes to Synology NAS. Click next. Then here, these are the default settings. So it's going to compress the data and encrypt it. Now, if this is basically a concern if you think it's going to be like physically stolen from your office, otherwise you can uncheck this, just leave the compression on and click next. And saying where's the destination? Well, it's this one folder here that we made. You could create other shared folders in that file station that we looked at earlier, but this will be fine. So click next. And then here it's asking if you want to both compress it and encrypt it here at the destination NAS. And we're okay with that, but if you want to, you could do this right here and set a password to do that. Click next. We do want to schedule this. So we can go daily, weekends, you can kind of filter it quickly like that. We actually do want to run it daily. So it's just going to check. I mean, if there are no changes, let's say between Saturday and Sunday, there's nothing to back up, it won't. But daily, and basically after everyone's out of the office, let's go 1800. And you can do it as frequently as every hour. For this example, we won't check mark every hour. This is basically set to run daily, but I'll show you what you can do. So if you are setting it to run daily, like after office hours, then you're fine as it is. You could set this, but really it should be fine, right? Because this is for setting office, basically active office hours. So let's say your office is open from 8 till 5, right? You see we already scheduled the green dot here is when this backup is taking place, when it starts, that's scheduled restore point. So it's already not going to run in our active hours, but you can set this if you want to, and now you have a daily time when it's going to back up, and you'll know it's not going to run during your active hours. So it's not going to impact the performance, your read-write as you're trying to access files and actual work in your business. The other way you can do this is, let's say this is on your local area network, so they're in the same office building. You can run this every hour, but for example, you'll probably run it from the time your office is open. Like if you want more granular and you're kind of afraid of things changing too much and someone messing something up, then you'll actually want to run it every hour. And if you checkmark this and go to configure active hours, well, you actually don't want to select this. So select allow to back up, and you'll see that it's going to run for that day every single hour. So if anybody makes changes, it's going to back up. And again, it's incremental. So the first time is going to be a large backup, but also if someone brings in a large file, it's going to back that up at that hour. So this may impact your system performance, so just keep that in mind. For this scenario, we already have protection happening with snapshots and immutable snapshots already every hour. So I'm not going with every hour on this. I'm going with what we said earlier, which is essentially after business hours, and we're okay with that. So let's click next. We do want a retention policy because we don't want to keep this forever. Let's go to advanced retention policy. So you can set, as you can see, by versions, number of days, but advanced is typically best because you can set where you have the most amount of kind of recent changes and also less as you go further out. And since we're doing just daily ones, we'll want daily backups for the last 4 weeks. So that means for the last month, essentially, we'll have a backup from every single day. So no more than about 30 backups. And again, it's incremental. And outside that 1 month, we'll have a backup, one backup per month, up to a year. And that's it. We don't need any more than that. And this right here, this just tells you that no matter what, you're going to have at least 10 versions before it starts applying these rules. But either way, we're going to have the 10 versions. One thing I just want to know, if you are doing the hourly ones, you might want to reconsider this, right? Because otherwise, you're going to have hourly backups for a month. You could do that. That's fine. But just something to think about. And we are okay with the 10 backups. Let's click OK. And next. This is asking who's going to have the ability to restore the entire NAS or just individual files. And you'll see that these local users are, of course, just for this NAS 2, not the same as your NAS 1. And your NAS, your primary NAS, you probably have all your users and groups. But here is just the ones that were made here. And right now, it's essentially just the admin account that I added. So that's the only person by default. It's part of the administrators group here. That's the only person who can come in here and restore things. So you could do, if you want kind of a little bit more flexibility, less people calling you to do admin work, then you could set up, well, you could actually duplicate users from your NAS 1 to your NAS 2. Without doing something like a domain controller, you can still do that pretty easily unless people start changing their passwords. But just let me know in the comments if you want kind of detail of how to do that. Obviously, you can do that manually. You can also go in control panel, kind of back up just the configuration and restore to this NAS just the users, okay? So just quickly, if you want to do that, you can do that. But otherwise, we're good with the default. Let's click next and done. And here you see the primary NAS full backup. So this is a template that we created. You can, of course, come in here, edit, modify as needed. And whatever user you had selected in the beginning is going to automatically apply this template to that NAS. So as long as we sign in with that same account, it's going to be good to go. Right, now let's jump back to our primary NAS, NAS 1. Go ahead and open the agents. And as it says, we're going to connect our backup destination NAS to this NAS 1. Let's click start. So the server address you want to type in, right, wherever your NAS 2 is, wherever the IP address of that is. Click connect. And we should be okay with the browser login. What happens, what I was telling you about was this right here, and that's probably familiar. You can click show details, something like that. It might vary depending on your browser, and click visit website. Okay, it's all in your local area network, it's totally fine. And here, as you see, it's asking about NAS 2 login. So the destination backup, where this backup is going to, that's that admin account we want to sign in with. And here, this should be okay. Just click OK. We can double check that certificate that's in control panel here. And once you get to this point, so restart the system to apply backup settings, because we signed in with our NAS 2 admin account that we had in our template, it's already linked those two together and knows what to do. It's ready to do the backup, so it's prompting to restart. I'll just say not now, just to show you how to do that manually. It's telling you that a backup is needed. And so here it gives you a summary and it's telling you the IP address where it's going, the destination NAS. It has the connection, that's fine. I just want to show you, if you go to control panel, security and certificates, you should see this one. So this one should be here, automatically active backup for business in green. And if you didn't have that, you would have this on both NAS 1 and NAS 2. And if you didn't, so for example, if we go to NAS 2 settings, in this example, it's NAS 2 that matters. Right here, certificate. If you have it disabled here for any reason, just come in here and click enable and apply the changes. All right. So now while we are in NAS 2, our destination NAS, you'll see here, and if you don't, just refresh the page or refresh the app, close it and open it. But you'll see it already says one NAS, Synology NAS ready for backup. Well, it says protected devices, but it didn't happen yet. If we click here, Synology NAS, we'll see the logged in user on our NAS 1 and the task that has been automatically created that it's ready to start is giving us a time based on the schedule that we made. Okay, so we see our device here. If you click on the task list, you'll see the task here. It's telling you where it's going to, that shared folder. It's not backed up yet, that makes sense. So we can go here to edit and edit everything about this task. Maybe we need to change the name of it. Maybe you want bandwidth limitations so it doesn't hog up your traffic if you're doing these hourly. And all those other things we can change here as well and reapply the settings if we need to. If you go back to task list here, you'll see we actually cannot manually back this up. It's telling you right there because we need to reboot the NAS 1, our primary NAS. So we can go to our account icon here and then just click restart. It's restarting. You'll hear an audible beep when it's back online. It's going to take a couple minutes here to get back online. All right, the primary NAS, NAS 1, is back online, which means we can go to our destination NAS 2 now, and there it is. So right away, we see the option to backup is now available. So we'll go ahead and start the backup now. So obviously, depending on how much data you're backing up, this is backing up the entire NAS. So however much storage you're using, that's how much you're going to back up. So this, I believe this one's about 5 terabytes. So it's going to take a while. I'll let you know once it's done. Here now it tells you after a couple seconds how much is completed backing up. That's in a task list. Also in DSM, the actual devices, we only have one NAS here. What you'll see in status tells you the same thing. Also an overview, ongoing activities, right, is telling you what's happening there as well. And if we go back to our primary NAS, let's go to the menu here and our agents. It should sync up. Yep. So now it's telling us, you see how it changes. It was just saying 3 days, 12 hours, 10 hours. Okay, so it's going to depend, because it's on the same local area network, just on your LAN connection. This is where it helps if you had a 10 gig connection. It will definitely speed things up, even at 2.5. But we can monitor this from our primary NAS. We don't have to go into our secondary NAS, and when it's done, we'll know. And there's also some options here. So once this is done, we'll come back here. We'll look at restoring a specific file, folder, or the entire system. So I'll be back here in about 11 hours and 37 minutes. The backup is now complete. It finished at 5 a.m. So it took about 13 hours. So for 5.4 terabytes was the size of the data on the primary NAS here. And it took 13 hours on a 1 gig LAN connection, just in case you want to gauge that. And as you can see, some de-duplication. So Synology is really good at doing this. It's actually only using up 4.3 terabytes on this destination NAS. So this NAS 2, which is kind of cool, right? So I have like 1.1 terabyte saved that can be used to back up something else to here, for example. And if you go here to your Synology NAS, you'll see how many versions you had, next backup. So I did do one more backup just to show you kind of the versioning that it does. And also here in overview, just, right here's the backup calendar. This is a good way to tell what has happened. So you can see so the first one finished today, it's a Tuesday, and the second one also, I just did a manual one that completed today. So you can see, everything should be in green if your backups are working fine. Okay, so this is on our destination NAS 2. Now, if you want to restore the entire primary NAS that we backed up, let's go back to our NAS 1. And I guess multiple ways we can do this. So first of all, we can open the agents, active backup for business agents that we used. And we'll see the same information, the latest backup when that happened just a couple of minutes ago here. And the next backup, things like that. And then, so you can restore just files and folders here as well. And I'll show you that next. But first, you can restore the entire system. So you can either go from here, click System, and it basically opens up Control Panel for you. Here under Update and Restore System Recovery. So you can just go here manually. You don't have to open that agent software. And it tells you where you can restore from. And you can click here to restore the entire system. So in our case, we're going from, this C2 storage, this is their cloud storage. This would be the longest, which is why it's nice to do another additional backup solution that's a little faster, like a Hyper Backup Vault also works, but we did a active backup for business. So click OK. We will want to click Restore System. It wants us to reconnect to the device that we backed up to, so the IP address. And you'll need to sign in with that admin account that has access to the Active Backup for Business app on your destination NAS. And I should mention that, let's say you bought a new NAS, physical Synology NAS, and you want to restore it. Before you set up, there's going to be an option at the bottom that tells you, hey, if you want to recover or migrate, restore your device. So you just click there and it'll be the same thing. It'll ask you the same kind of 3 options that we just seen here, and you'll connect the same way. So this is okay. Let's proceed. It brings up to you and shows you what the destination NAS, what kind of backups it has. We only have this one that we call NAS 1, right? It shows the latest backup. We'll click Next. And here, as I told you, we have only 2 backups so far. But this is where we can choose, and it kind of shows you there's almost nothing. No data here changed, but you can choose which version you need to restore from. And typically you would select this, right? You want all the network settings to, like it says here, to be restored as well. And I'm not going to go through all this. It just gives you a summary here, and then you click Restore, right? And your whole NAS, maybe all the hard drives that burned down, something like that, you can easily restore. Now, let's say you don't want to restore the entire system. Maybe something's changed. You just want a file. Or maybe you're using this as your only backup, for example. Although not recommended, there's hyper backup that you can do and things like that, like I've shown previously. But you can go here. So this is on the primary NAS, your source NAS that you are backing up to that Agents app. And here under Restore, you can select File and Folder. And if you click Open Recovery Portal, essentially it takes you to the destination NAS. And I'll just go there manually. So you can also just do that yourself from your destination NAS. So go here to Menu and go to the Active Business for Backup portal, right? So this is where you go to actually see the files and you can restore or download whatever you need to. So here we see the NAS, right? You're signed in to your accounts. And if you have the privileges, that's the only ones that you're going to see. Now, obviously, right now we only have one NAS here that's being backed up. So yes, you can back up multiple NASs here, that's for sure. So go here, let's say, I mean, this is the entire volume, but you can expand it. You can see all your shared folders, anything else you made here. So let's say, for example, we have this shared folder, and you could click, you even have your snapshots backed up here. Let's say you want to restore this IT planning folder. So you can click here to restore, and it's going to tell you where it's going from and where it's going to overwrite that data. And you can select this option here if you're just trying to restore files that were maybe accidentally deleted. Now, I don't want to restore this whole thing, so I will click this just so it only restores maybe a file or two that was added. Okay, it's that easy. And if you don't have a connection to your original NAS, let's say it's maybe got burned down, whatever, it's destroyed, it's not on site, you can still go in here and use this on your destination NAS and just download folders like this if you need to, right? So now, if I need to access this folder, someone else does, they can just log in here and you can give, again, access to whoever you need to. They don't need to use an admin account as long as they have access to the Active Backup for Business portal, and they can browse in here and download whatever they need to, okay? Obviously, make sure you have good permissions, but just letting you know, that's how easy this is. And that's all. I should point out maybe one thing here. So you don't have to use this web interface. You can actually also download this from Synology, the portal. So it's an application that can be used on Windows, for example. And on the source NAS, so let's say you back this up, you did the initial backup on site. You could go here later, edit connection, and let's say you moved your destination NAS off site. So you can set up a VPN and all that, and you would just go in here to edit connection to relink that so the incremental backups happen over the internet to a off-site NAS. So if you found this helpful, please go ahead, like this video, share, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, post that in the comment section down below. I'll have everything linked for you in the video description. Thanks for watching. Take care.